Welcome to Your Family Dog, the podcast where we celebrate the special bond between families and their canine companions. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, considering bringing a furry friend into your family, this show is for you. Each episode, we dive into topics that matter: training tips, health advice, the newest research, heartwarming stories, and expert interviews, both canine and human. Our goal is helping families and dogs grow up together, one episode at a time. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to the Your Family Dog podcast. Today, I am joined by my wonderful friend, Peggy Rew. We met a few years ago, and she wrote a dog safety activity book that is an educational coloring book created for all humans, with hope we can all learn to understand how dogs think, how dogs look at the world, and how they use their senses to communicate with us. Without further ado, I'm so glad you're here, Peggy, to have a chat about dog safety and how to help families just get along better with their family dog.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited because I think it's been, I think it's been 7 years since we met.
Right?
Yeah. Time is flying. And when you reconnected with me last month, I was so excited. So, yeah,
Thank you.
let's get this going.
Well, so I hand out your dog bite prevention activity book constantly at the store. So I teach in a dedicated space in a retail store that's a pet store. And we have a wonderful 30 by 30 space. And I regularly just hand your activity books out to families. And I do give, like, the adults get one each and the kids get one too, so that everybody is learning the same things and they're able to sit and color or draw and talk about the material in the activity book. So can you talk a little bit about what's included?
I will. I came up with this in 2012, and I wanted to teach in a fun way how dogs communicate with their senses, because they're the ones that always get in trouble because they can't say, "Hey, that kid pulled my tail," or "That kid scared me when they ran up to me." So they use their sight, their smell, their hearing, their taste, their touch, their body language. And also, I want humans to learn boundaries. And they're dogs. They should have their own space. And if they want to sleep in their bed, then we should let them. But often kids and adults aren't educated on how to give every family member the same respect.
I love that the idea of consent and agency is really taking hold in parenting as well as in raising our dogs. I have long said that parenting our dogs and parenting our kids is somewhat similar. It's about teaching how to navigate the world, but it's also about recognizing, kind of as the leader of the household, if you want to get into that, thinking as the grown-ups, um learning what sensitivities the family members have, whether it's a furry family member or whether it's, a human. So what are some things you think the average family maybe misunderstands, that they view a signal that a dog gives as something where the dog's enjoying something, but maybe the dog is actually a little bit uncomfortable?
Well, a lot of times there is the boundary of them eating. They don't really want anyone to bother them because that is their mealtime. So maybe they get a little edgy when someone comes near their dish. Well, that's their boundary. It's like a teenager not wanting their parent to come in their bedroom without knocking. And it's the mutual respect. And it sounds silly because we come from a world where people still throw dogs out in the backyard or put them on a chain and expect them to just be a dog. But if you're going to have a dog, you need to be responsible and you need to understand their way of communicating. And that's why the senses are so important, because they use their eyes, they use their nose, and they're either protecting you or they're protecting them, or just might be hesitant of something coming toward them.
Well, and resource guarding is um, a really interesting behavior with families because often I see the adults talking about resource guarding as if it's an unnatural, aggressive behavior. And I'm like, great, hand me your wallet. And they're like, what? Right? Or hand me your debit card and give me your PIN. Right? We resource guard too. It's a natural and normal behavior. If I have a dish of ice cream, I pity the fool who attempts to touch my ice cream. Like, I've been on a diet since 1987. I really want that ice cream. So I think when we reframe it sometimes as my dog saying, like, hey, this space or this activity or this food or this toy or whatever is important to me and I would like to be left alone, is somehow a behavior beyond the pale. When if I'm taking a nap, I want to be left alone too. I don't want to be jostled around for that. So, I mean, can we help dogs be more comfortable with activity going around them while they're resting or while they're eating or chewing on something? Sure. But I think sometimes we have unrealistic expectations that our dogs are going to be infinitely tolerant of all behavior no matter what. It's not even really a expectation we have for ourselves.
Well, and people think that, I mean, I talk to my animals all the time, and I'm pretty sure they understand me, but they don't understand everything. They're just tolerating this human that's just blah, blah, blah. But, we can't expect them to understand you probably shouldn't be on the table. So we need to do behavior training. So, it's just like the kids. If the kids have done something wrong, there's a consequence. But we, it's, and I don't want them to put dogs on the same level as humans because they are dogs, but they do deserve the respect to be taught what is good and what is bad. And it would just make for a happy home and
Well,
happy walking and happy whatever.
Well, I think dogs are so similar to us that there's a lot of crossover, but they're different than us in some really important ways, right?
Mhm.
I I I saw Suzanne Clothier at a seminar a few years ago, and she was hysterical as always. If By the way, if you've never met Suzanne, she's
I
a hoot
have.
and a holler. She's hysterical. Like the sideways things that come out of her mouth delight me. But she was talking about like that in many cases, probably our dogs think we're pretty dumb, right? We walk past the rabbit poop, we walk past the deer poop, we don't even notice the dead lizard in the grass. Like, what kind of awful, atrocious hunters are we? And so sometimes I think dogs view us as kind of incompetent about some stuff. And understandably so. My nose is pretty dumb in comparison to my dog's nose. So, can you talk about how um, scent in particular really impacts the family dog and how they're getting along in the system?
Well, their nose is like a machine. It can sense everything. It's so sensitive though that little ones need to be taught not to poke it in the nose because it is just one of those parts of their body that's just like a brain. But they can smell things from far away. I was telling you about my newest senior. Um, he will just stand there and become frozen because there is something in the air and he knows it's somewhere. But they smell things on kids. They smell food on fingers. That's why sometimes fingers are bit because it tastes like peanut butter. It must be a treat. Somebody didn't wash their hands. There's so many mechanics. That is what their ingrained wolf behavior is to hunt and to gather. And if your fingers taste like peanut butter, they may just take a little nip. Um, but they sniffing and sensing is so intense that it can sometimes get them in trouble. So we have to redirect them and the children so that the whole family is a unit, um, to if you're gonna pet the dog, if you're going to give the dog a treat, let's learn how to do it without getting bit. You could have, my daughter's got two amazing little, not little, but dogs. And the littlest one will take your hand off with a treat. And the Rottweiler is just like a little tiny baby and he takes the little treat out of your fingers. But that sounds so simplified, but it could change the dynamic of a family. So it's training. This book is really training you as the human to respect their senses because they can't say, "You have peanut butter in your hands. I'm going to take a bite." It can be just sifted all the way down to the basics, and then the dog gets in trouble.
Right. And then it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, I think dogs are pretty stinking smart. They're right there with our toddlers where they understand a lot of what is happening around them and thinking their way through it and having their own opinions, which, it's kind of like when you bring an infant home. I think everyone expects an infant to be like soft and squishy, and they're not. They're little balls of muscle and opinion, and free will. Like
Oh, yeah.
if your infant doesn't want to open their hand will not be opening at this moment. Thank you very much. And I think for a lot of parents, that's a rude awakening, right? If you want to put the bow in the little toddler's hair and she doesn't want a bow, there's not going to be a bow. Uh, and so it's interesting that our dogs, I mean, dog bites to children are actually spectacularly rare, but there are a lot of times that there's just miscommunication. A child, I see in my practice a lot of children who are afraid that there's a mouth too close to fingers. And so I'm talking with parents a lot about strategies to really help their child and their dog not have that worry and not accidentally teach the dog to grab by pulling treats away because the child's worried about their fingers being close to that doggy mouth and spit and teeth. So strategies like putting a treat in a ladle and the child offering the treat that way, or holding a bowl and putting the treat in the bowl, or even tossing treats to the dog instead of handing it, finger to mouth, are all really good strategies to help kids and dogs really navigate some of those confusing places where conflict could occur.
Right. Yeah, there's so many options, and if anything, just put it in their food dish, and that's where they usually eat. So that would be, a nice reward to put it in the dish, but also to maybe reciprocate. We make Kelly say thank you each time, so he has to put a paw up and shake, and then he gets his cookie. But it's teaching manners back and forth and eliminate the fear. But one of the reasons that I came up with this book was back in 2012, 2011, 12, dog bite reports just increased in our county. And it wasn't that dog bites increased, it was because every treated bite had to then be reported to the county. So a doctor, urgent care, emergency, all of a sudden everything was reported. So the stats just went off the charts. So it's just this way, maybe somebody might learn something, even adults. I've got a lot of adults that are still afraid of dogs because they either never had one or they had something that scared the crap out of them. And so, it's just simple communication.
And learning really, again, I think it's really great that we give birth to babies, right? Where they're nonverbal, we're learning their body language. We learn how to do ethology, like watch the baby and figure out what individual signals might mean so that you can help them, live an amazing life. And I love that we're starting to do that more and more for our dogs. In the past, dogs would just go outside and be away from everybody and have some dog time. And I work with dogs pretty regularly now that, they don't even get to sniff on a walk because the person has in their mind, like, we must do our 3 miles of walking. And I don't think people realize how much just sniffing the grass, like just sniffing the environment, helps their dog really fill up and get good dopamine and cool their brain off and relax and just feel better about the world.
And they burn calories. It's amazing how much energy they use just sniffing. So yeah, you don't have to go for that 5-mile run. The dog just wants to sniff. I was going to go back to the birthing of babies. So, like I said, since 1993, I think it was, we have been adopting senior dogs. And people say, how can you do that? They're not going to last very long. You don't know what you're going to get, blah, blah, blah. They go on and on. Well, when we get a senior dog, we pretend like we just birthed it. We just got a new baby. And we learn everything about it and we teach it about us. There's always been at least 3 cats in our family. So we find out who gets along with cats. And I can't believe that after 30 years, we have never had one that didn't like cats. And um, they've given us so much joy. But again, we pretend like they're the new baby. We don't pretend, we do it. And I don't care where it came from or what its history was. It is a new baby, and we treat it as that. And so it's the same. You can't just get a dog and put it in the yard or put it in its crate all day. I do a lot of rescue and rehoming, and I had a friend contact me and say, "I need a dog. We're ready for a dog." And I'm on Facebook with her, and I sent her a message this week, and I said, "Hey, you guys are really busy. They're very social." And I said, "I think before you adopt a dog, you need to consider what you two do socially, because a new dog is going to need time, consistency, caring. Uh, they could be anxious." So, and she goes, "I understand. We really want to calm down. But you can't expect a dog to calm you down until you make your life dog acceptable. You can't just get a dog and say, 'Hey, I got a dog.' You have to make that dog part of your family and part of your life. And if it can't be as social as you, then you need to cut back." And it's just respect of a new dog coming into a home. They need so much time. What is that figure we have? It's like 3 days to be a little less anxious, 3 weeks before they actually accept where they are, and then 3 months they might be calming down. But with all the rescues I've worked with, um, they a dog really needs respect. A- And I know people will bark at that, but they do. If you're going to bring them into the home, you are responsible for them.
Well, and I think more and more I'm seeing families really view it as stewardship. Like, I don't see a lot of families who view their dog as like a accessory. They really do want a dog that is a member of the family, full-fledged, with its own likes and dislikes. It's things that the dog enjoys. Um, there are things the dog doesn't enjoy, and recognizing that it's okay that if you have a dog that maybe is more on the introverted end of the spectrum, like we might have a child who's more on the introverted end of a spectrum, that we don't necessarily need to take that dog to, the farmer's market that's busy on Saturday morning. Likewise, you may have a dog who is literally a social butterfly, has never met a stranger, delights in everything, loves to have those kinds of experiences. And then I'm like, yes, then that dog can go. And that, it's like, what would your dog vote? Um, the same way, what would my child vote? There were things that I desperately wanted to do with my daughter that were not her jive, and that was okay. I just said, okay, well, if I want to go do that activity, I can invite her. But if she's like, yeah, no, it's not my thing, that's okay too. I can go enjoy it on my own.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't force them to be in every aspect of our life. We have to respect what they can handle. And we were talking earlier about taking dogs everywhere. I used to manage one of the farmers markets here, and it's always hot. And then we also have the nugget rib cook-off every year. Dogs should not be at a rib cook-off because of the trash and the sniffing. Their nose is going berserk, and they want a bone, or they want trash, or they want a corn cob or something. There are some places dogs do not belong. Um, as fun as it might seem to you, it's not healthy for them.
Well, I mean, I spent all last week telling people not to take their dogs to the fireworks displays.
Yeah.
Because it's like how to scare the tarnation out of your dog. Um, and you'll find out that harness doesn't fit very well and that the dog can escape it, and, and then everything's terrifying and the dog is not, like, there can be lots of ramifications from that.
They might associate seeing a child when the firework goes off, and then they associate the child must have been the bad thing. So there's so many things that can spur in their brain that it's just not fair. And it's so hard. We have so many idiots in our neighborhood that just they kept putting the fireworks off every night for 3 nights. And it's just brutal.
Well, I mean, so I will say every 6 months I have this conversation that I like prepare for all the ugly, mean, social media posts about my stupid neighbor, when the neighbor's not really doing anything wrong. If it's legal in your community, it's legal in your community. And while I desperately want a world with silent fireworks, like they have at Disney, like they have in Italy, and I will continue advocating for that, the reality is, as the person who loves my dogs, it is my job to really prepare my dogs for the world they're in. And that might mean medication, but a lot of times that's counter conditioning and desensitization. And it's going to happen every 6 months. 4th of July and New Year's happen every 6 months. And then, here in, in Athens, Georgia, if there's a national championship, also fireworks. So while I'm going to advocate for silent fireworks for a myriad reasons, I just think it's better for the world. It's better for wildlife. It's better for humans with processing disorders or PTSD or sensitivities. And of course, our family pets and other domesticated animals, birds, all sorts of things. I also think that preparing our dogs for the sound of thunder and helping them be comfortable with that. They don't have to love it, but not be panicked is also a big, important piece of the puzzle. And I get sometimes a little bit sad and frustrated that people don't grab a hold of. You can help your dog with this, whether it's a medication like Celio or whether it's doing counter conditioning and desensitization for the month before fireworks happen and the month following fireworks. Here at Casa de Crazy Town, I regularly play the sound of fireworks or thunderstorms while the dogs are eating or playing or resting, so that these sounds are a normal part of the environment. We're not panicking, nothing bad's happening. And the dogs, even my dogs that are a little bit more sensitive, seem to be overall relaxing about the situation.
Hmm. Well, and I put a section in the book about ears and hearing. And um, I actually had some clients, some giant mixed breed. They were like 135 pounds each, and they were so afraid of fireworks. And I went one day to go check on them while their moms were gone, and they were in the bathtub because they were smart enough to get into a place that takes the vibration away and makes them feel safe. And it was amazing to learn that they knew what to do. I have a cat that's very sensitive, and it's not just the sound. He can hear thunder and lightning in the ground before we do. So he hides behind our toilet. And so I mean we just have to respect what is their sensitivity. Some of them could care less, they just sleep right through it. But those that have it, we are very sensitive. And the one cat, he just turned 15. We've had him since he was 10 days old, and behind the toilet is where he goes twice a year. Um, and then one of the other things that happened here is we have now a sub professional baseball team. So every night they got to send off fireworks when the team is playing. It's like, oh my God. So the people downtown had to readjust because their dogs were going crazy. And yeah, no like respect for people that really have sensitivity. They just throw the fireworks off. But see, those would be great if they were silent,
Yeah.
because they're
And Disney
downtown.
really, Disney really has grabbed a hold of silent fireworks. Like, we add the boom. So they're available in the United States. And so I encourage everybody, talk to your local municipality, call your mayor, call your representatives, contact your governor, contact your state legislators. We can make a big change in our communities when we band together for the betterment of everyone. When I was a kid, there was no recycling. Now there's recycling. Like, there's things adjust and change when we act on the things that are important to us and our heart's desire. And we can really advocate for kids, dogs, and everyone when with simple changes like silent fireworks. I can't imagine anyone, if someone who's listening would really miss the booms, tell me. Because I don't think anyone would miss the booms. I don't go to fireworks displays for the booms. I don't
No.
like it, hurts my ears. I would love to go to a fireworks display that the local symphony or the local marching band or the local high school gets to come out and entertain and play a bunch of wonderful music while we're watching fireworks. That would be great.
Yeah,
And so I just think it's a missed opportunity, and one that it is my heart's desire that it changes.
that is great. I will start that here.
Yeah, I
Did
really
not know.
Change.org has a petition. I'll put it in the show notes so people can sign up. While I think that those petitions are great, and I do, I still think all politics is at the kitchen table. And so talking to your local representatives can go a really long way. Doing the research, like reach out to Disney and say, where do you get your fireworks? Maybe they'll share the information with you so that we can really kind of move the whole world forward. Now, does that mean that it's going to stop the thunderstorms from making noise? No, it's not. So we still really want to work with our kids, our dogs, to not be afraid, to be more comfortable. And again, in the case of our dogs, we can't always explain it. And so sometimes dogs have really severe and cats have really severe sound sensitivity, and that is a veterinary concern as well as a behavior concern. And getting that dog relief is important because it's real suffering. It's not, oh, the dog is being, melodramatic.
Right. Yeah, he's
So
such a drama queen, but they're not. They're sensitive.
they're they're terrified, right? And we wouldn't, I mean, I would hope that we wouldn't make fun of a two-legged family member who had a very severe sensitivity. I don't think we would mock them. And I also don't think we would just let them suffer. I think most of us would be empathetic, be compassionate, and really try to make things better. So can you make a soundproof room? Sure, you can. And that sometimes, I mean, I know people who have soundproof rooms. I live in Georgia. There's thunderstorms nearly every day, and they have kids who prefer to play in that room during thunderstorm season. And I think that that's a beautiful answer. And hey, then you can also get them a drum kit and you won't hear them practice.
Yeah. Well,
So
a
if there was
soundproof
one,
room that you can take advantage of is if you have a walk-in closet, those can become a soundproof room because of the clothes. And usually they're on an inside wall. And so sometimes if someone here is too paranoid, we go in the closet and we turn on a podcast.
well, and you'll laugh. I mean, things like Feel Away for cats and Thunderies and Adaptil having pheromone for dogs, it absolutely can help. Is it a be all end all? No, but it's something simple that the average family can do to really help their animal feel better when the inevitable scary stuff is happening. So where can people get the dog safety activity book?
Dog bite prevention. Don't be scared, be prepared. Right now it's on Amazon, or they can contact me and then I can ship it to them media mail or regular mail like I did you. And that was an amazing, that went so fast because they told me it
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to get to you till the 14th. And so you got it yeah, you got it 5 days early. So yeah, just have them contact me. You can find me on Facebook under Peggy Rew, or like I said, Amazon, or they can email me at rewcrew5@gmail.com. Or they can call me like you did. And I'm so excited to just help people learn basic things. And this isn't rocket science. It is all basic things that we all know about, but we don't practice. And, one of the things too about dog bite prevention is boundaries. And that's like going into your neighbor's yard. Don't go into your neighbor's yard. Knock on the door, ring the doorbell, have your parents go with you. But if you jump over a fence of a normally really friendly dog that you see all the time, but if you jump into their yard, that changes a behavior. And I don't want the dog to get in trouble. Again, they get in trouble because they bite a kid or they chase a kid. That dog is scary or whatever. Well, dogs like to protect their places, like we were talking about. Their doghouse is theirs. A lot of dogs might get a little excited about if you touch their leash. Now, I have a sister who has a therapy dog. And so some therapy dogs or service dogs can be talked to or touched. But if it says don't look at me on their little harness, don't look at them because it takes them out of their zone. So that's a boundary. But also, my sister also has a one-eyed dog. So I put that in the using their eyes section because he can't see you coming up behind him on one side. So clap your hands, make a noise, stomp your feet to tell him you're coming up. There are just so many things to do to communicate, but uh, if kids aren't being mean or parents or whoever, they just don't understand that we need to communicate with the dog. Like one of the pictures in the coloring book is a dog with a newspaper. That's his job. Every dog needs a job. And picking up a newspaper is his job. If you try to take it away, you could have some problems. Another one is puppies. If you know someone that has puppies and they say, "Oh, come over and see the puppies," well, that owner, parent should also say, don't put your hand in there unless the mama dog invites you in, because those are her responsibilities. She has to take care of those little ones. And she could sense something, and it's not that you're a mean person or a mean child. You may have a scent that bothers them. Cologne bothers them. Soap can bother them. It can just trigger something that says, you're not a safe person to touch my puppies. So, maybe we need to hand sanitize. We just need to respect the boundaries of dogs, and like sleeping dogs, old dogs, deaf dogs. Clap your hands, stomp your feet. Let them know you're coming, because if you wake them up out of a deep sleep and they're dreaming, they are going to protect themselves. So, and then there's just little ones that just are afraid to be stepped on, like my friend that owns the Chihuahua rescue here. She's got so many little Chihuahuas around, and they are afraid to be stepped on. So sometimes you just have to think about life from their perspective. It's just a mutual, because I'm short, and I sometimes I can't reach something, so I have to go to somebody tall and say, "Could I bother you for your height?" Um, but it's like a little dog. I don't want that big person like me to step on them. It's such a mutual respect for each other. That's all. Um, I have a cat that if you wake him up, he swipes. So I have to be careful of that because he'll claw me. It's just, if we're going to live in the same earth, we have to kind of just communicate with each other. And that's what my book is all about.
I think, well, in the words of Frost, good fences make good neighbors, right? Recognizing where there are boundaries and limitations, and that each of our individual rights end where they infringe on another. So, I don't get to wear the stinky perfume that makes the person next to me nauseated. Like that's not fair. Uh, it's not fair to say to that person, well, like, suck it up. Like that that doesn't work so great either. So, well, I'm excited that the book is getting a resurgence. I do you wonder sometimes if so I don't talk about bites a lot, only because it's so rare, right?
Mhm.
I think that a lot of parents, I know I feel this way sometimes. People are like, "Oh, well, if you la 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 whatever." Dogs are not out there, like, a bite is so rare. There's so many other signals that happen before that really are our dogs trying to communicate, like, "Hey, could you slow down? Could you give me some space? Could I have a moment? Could I be let out of this situation because it's not comfortable for me, it doesn't feel good?" And and trigger stacking, right? That just because a dog was comfortable with the situation on a day where everybody's at school and work and the dog got to rest and just have some alone time, versus a day that there was a birthday party and a picnic and a cookout, and now all of a sudden the same dog is tired and is not as willing to put up with malarkey, that on a day that there was less happening, the dog is more resilient. It's not that suddenly the dog is being a jerk. It's just like we get tired and overstimulated, so do our dogs. So do you worry sometimes, because I do, that when we talk about bites, like, oh, the dog biting the child, I don't get a lot of reports of bites. I get a lot of reports of the dog snapped in the child's direction, which is a warning. It definitely means there's some things we need to work on and adjust. But I worry sometimes that we lose people because they're thinking to themselves, well, no, my dog's a good dog and the dog is never going to bite. Like my dog doesn't bite. So we don't need that dog safety information.
Right.
And I worry that how we title things, like everything I hear you talking about is how do we help everyone get along even better?
Right.
Um,
I
I worry, I wonder if it turns people off.
I wonder that myself. And so just this conversation has been mind blowing for me because I think as I stare at this book that I'm going to retitle it because of the potential it has for training people instead of just preventing dog bites. Because I think people think, oh my God, oh my God. Well, we've never had a dog bite. We don't have to do this. But I do think that there is a lot more potential for it with a different title.
I I love that. Like I love that you could just have like be prepared, not scared. Like that would that would
Just
be
that.
right? Because I think about it as like when I think in terms of what my goal is working with a family, whether it's my family or a different family, is I'm looking for Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Like Charlie Brown is not perfect. He has his faults and foibles and sensitivities. Snoopy, not perfect. There are things Snoopy doesn't like. There's things that Snoopy doesn't think are funny. But Charlie Brown and Snoopy love and respect and know each other so well that they really don't end up in those pinch points, right?
Yeah.
If if Snoopy knows that Charlie Brown really doesn't like face kisses, then one, Snoopy might use a face kiss to say like, "Hey, you're in my face and I'd like more space." Like what a polite what a really polite correction that is, right? It's a
Mhm.
distance that kiss to dismiss is a real thing, right? So let me talk about what a kiss to dismiss is because I realized we may not have ever defined what that is. So what a kiss to dismiss is a dog using face kisses or hand kisses or leg kisses to say, hey, you're infringing on my space and I'd like more space. It is something dogs do with other dogs. It's often preceded by a plaintive look by the dog to the adult. So typically it is a human encroaching on a dog's space. So it's not the dog approaching to do this. This is the human is approaching the dog. Often there are other signals as well. There might be whale eye where you see the whites of the eyes. You might see a lip lick and a turn away of the head from the dog. The dog may lean away from the interaction, look at a grown up who's their advocate to say, hey, I'm in trouble here. You know, this other human isn't recognizing my signaling very well in the moment. Um, and the dog licks, learning that people don't like face licks and we give them space. It's like the sweetest, kindest punishment for getting in a dog's face that a dog could offer, right? Just like as humans, we are looking for those sweet, kind corrections that say, hey, I know you didn't mean to upset me, but I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like that. I don't like oatmeal raisin cookies. Could I have a chocolate chip cookie instead? Or snickerdoodle? It's the same thing. And I think the more that we season into these subtle signals that our dogs give us, or our cats give us, or our kids give us, or our partners give us, just grease the skids and make all of it kinder and sweeter. It's just a sweetness that I wish I could give as a gift to the families that I work with, that their dog's not perfect. Neither are they. None of us have an expectation that they would be. But the better we all know each other in our bones, the more that we can provide really beautiful, kind advocacy, which may be saying to our dog, here, go lay on my bed because the world's a little nutty at the moment. And sometimes I want to go take a nap with the dog.
Yes.
So I love
That
that your heart is in that same place. And that I guiltily, I kind of wanted to say, like, can you take the dog bite prevention thing off the books? Because I think there are a lot of people who won't pick it up, won't digest the information because
right.
they're like, well, no, my dog's awesome. He'd never bite. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like we don't really talk to people about like stabbing prevention. Right? Like if we're like, does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
we can't even get families to practice fire drills in their homes because they're like,
Nope.
"Oh, well, we'll never have a fire. Well, knock on wood, let's hope we don't, but we should have a plan that we do." I mean,
Mhm.
I have a fire blanket, I have a fire extinguisher, right? Like I I just think like we don't talk to our kids about, you know, stabbing prevention. I think because we like, what are the chances that it's that same thing? It's that same disconnect.
I love
So
it.
I love that you really want to work on kind of changing the nomenclature because I think it just will reach more people. And you have such a beautiful way to talk to families in the activity book about this is just getting to know each other better. Like we just want to
Mhm.
grow up better together.
Yep.
Because I think most of us, lots of us think life is just better with a dog.
It is. I can't be without one. I try each time one of ours expires, and we go about 100 days. And it's like, I can't do it anymore. So, yeah. And then they just appear. So we've really been lucky. But yeah, I agree. So why don't you take like a black marker and just put a line through it? Because then people will say, why did she put a line through that? And then they'll
No,
read.
I think that's a great way to talk
I,
about it.
I think so, because I'm going to do it in the ones I have here. Because I think they don't get past dog bite prevention. They need to see don't be scared, be prepared. And I want them to read the thing at the bottom.
Well, and I think like, I don't know, there's lots of programs out there. There's Doggy Detective, there's Dog Decoded, there's lots of cute sayings like that. But I think really getting into be a citizen and like for goodness sakes, I'm so glad that science is taking a step ahead. This really, your book really is about being a citizen scientist with your
Mm.
dog, like teaching all of the members of the family how to better read where their dog is at any given moment with an interaction. And
Yep.
so I don't know. I think you're teaching people to speak dog. Or maybe it's funny. Somebody the other day was like, "Oh, you're the dog whisperer." I'm like, "I am absolutely not the dog whisperer. Nope. I'm not." I'm like, "I'm not whispering at the dog. I am a dog listener." And we need fewer whisperers and a lot more listeners. The same way that I don't know, my life has been richly blessed by turning off the news and getting out of that the world is falling down around our ears and everybody's terrible, like cyclone of the news cycle. I still get the news, I still pay attention to the news, but I don't let it inundate me constantly. And like, just, I love people better when I'm
Hmm.
not stuck in that vortex. Where
Well,
like I don't want to panic all the time. That's not fun. So
panic
I,
or be sad. It's so
right.
sad. And there's nothing
Yes.
we can do. People are too far away for us to do anything, but we think we should. So then the best thing to do is get on the floor and hug your dog.
Well, hug your dog and figure out where you can help in your community and in the greater world. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I love that I'm going to be getting my marker out and crossing out the dog bite prevention
I
because
have.
again, I think that this is we miss we just accidentally push people away
Yeah, I
and we don't
think
intend
so.
to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times parenting is so hard. It's like, oh, it's so filled with judgment and there's so much shaming and there's so much if you do it a different way than I do it, then you're wrong and I'm right. And I just The reality is, kids and dogs give us 10,000 repetitions to get it right. And the vast majority of people are doing a great job and they desperately even want to learn more and do it better. And I just love that about where we are in the world right now when it comes to raising our kids and dogs together to begin an amazing love affair with this species that's so special and so different, really, in their connection to us than any other species.
That is amazing. Now I'm going to have to give you credit inside the book that said, help me retitle it.
Well, we
Yeah.
can talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to us about your how to integrate your family and your dog even better book, not
Yeah.
your dog bite prevention book, as I rename your book for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today. And
Thank
I
you.
really hope people will get some copies and, cross out dog bite prevention and start a conversation with your neighbors, your aunts and uncles, grandma and grandpa. We will be having Peggy on again soon to talk about senior dog adoption, and that's something that's near and dear to her heart, as well as planning for our dogs if something were to ever happen to us.
Yeah.
And I will add my own special sauce of preparing that dog to be in a situation different than maybe the situation it finds itself. So we'll be having Peggy on soon, and I look forward to that. So
Thank
thanks
you
again
so
for
much.
joining us, Peggy. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners?
No, I appreciate you having me on, and I am so excited. I'm going to go get all the books out and start marking them. Yeah, I think I'm so excited now because I think that's been, even though I have printed over 20,000 copies, I think we're going to have even a more of a resurgent when we retitle it. And nobody
Love that.
suggested it, so you're a magician.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay,
Even a blind squirrel occasionally finds a nut. So, well, thank you.
you're
And
welcome.
please join us next time on the Your Family Dog podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, share, do all the YouTube and podcast things that you do for all of the other podcast information in your life. And pretty soon we're going to be rolling out a Patreon, and you're going to be hearing more about that soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your precious day with us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, rate, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at yourfamilydogpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.